can drive the Bolt with one foot, one pedal. You put it into L, which something like low range mode. Listen, I didn't touch the brakes. That's how much aggressive regenerative braking it has. You don't need to use the actual physical brakes. I've been driving this 2020 Chevy Bolt for the past week, and today we're going to talk about what it's like to live with Chevy's mass market pure electric hatchback. We'll start off with a quick exterior walk around. So this Bolt here is finished in slate gray metallic, which looks actually quite similar to the Nardo gray found on my Audi RS7. This is also a 2020, so it went through a mid-cycle refresh, slight changes to the front fascia appearance, some technology improvements, also battery pack changes, which we'll talk about in a moment. Just exterior walk around. The taillights have a very complex kind of squiggly shape to them. Bolt EV with the blue accents. It is also a hatchback, so I can open it up back here. That's the trunk space. It's not massive. We've got detailing stuff, a backpack in there. It's about the size of the rear hatch space. But something interesting is this is also all glass. This rear windshield extends all the way down here with the emblem on it. That's all part of the rear windshield. We've got tiny little eco-friendly tires and wheels. They're 215s all around, so narrow, 17-inch wheels. Cool design though. It is a kind of weird shape slash size. It's a hatchback, but it's not quite as tall as an SUV or CUV crossover, but it's not quite as low or small as a car. It was kind of a weird in-between size and shape that kind of threw me off when I first got into it. On the Bolt, you are able to pop the front hood, which on some hybrids and electric cars, they don't let you do that. You can see a lot of fancy electronics under here. We have a conventional battery there though. Stuff that I would not want to mess with, probably all high voltage. But you can't open the front. There is no storage there, it's just, as you saw, technical things. We shall take a look at the window sticker now. Let's take a look at the window sticker. It is a 2020 Bolt EV Premier, that's the trim level. Standard vehicle price for this trim starts at $41,000, and as option it's $43,735, so almost $44,000. Some important options: we have the infotainment package, which has wireless charging, Bose 7-speaker sound system. Driver Confidence 2 brings some assistance features like forward collision alert, distance, lane keep assist, automatic emergency braking. Overall, most of the stuff is standard. You see it's got the rating of 118 mpg-E, which is like an equivalency calculation of how much it consumes. Now, $43,000, almost 44 grand, does seem pretty expensive for a vehicle like this Bolt. And when it first came out, I think it was sub 30 for the lower tier ones. It was really competitive compared to everything else out there, especially with the range that the Bolt was able to offer. The other thing to consider is there was a big, I think $7,500 federal tax credit, which is now being phased out because GM has hit that 200,000 electric vehicle mark. So those tax credits are going to be going away. But that being said, I did find a lot of Bolts brand new at dealerships with pretty big discounts on them. I found a couple for under $30,000 brand new, not quite equipped the same level as this Premier, but it is definitely doable. I've been using the Bolt for normal day-to-day activities, driving around town, heading to and from work. No long distance road trips, but I have plugged it in, charging it, looked into some of the charging times, which we'll definitely talk about. With that, let's do a in-car drive and talk about what it's like to drive and some of the interior features and technology. That is starting up a Chevy Bolt. Show you guys some of the interior features. So this is the Prindle, the transmission shift knob. Here we're in park. Hold the button on the left, pull back, that puts you in a drive. Hold it forward, that's neutral. Forward and to the left is how you get into reverse. And then the button on top there is park. When you pull it reverse, you can see very, very high definition front camera, surround view to 360 overhead. I really like that. It's very clear. And we should be able to change it around too. You can see other camera angles. So this has plenty of different cameras to stitch together all the various views. If we go back here to the normal one for backing up and then into drive. We have a 10.2-inch center touchscreen here at a nice angle. It actually doesn't produce much glare. And usually when I'm in the car, I plug in my phone for Apple Carplay. And I have this wireless charging pocket right there. It slides right in nicely. A couple USB ports, an aux port there. And we would be able to pull up Apple CarPlay. There we go, Apple CarPlay. So nice big touchscreen, which is way bigger than my normal phone screen. And I can have Google Maps, that's my podcast, phone, whatever you need to do, Spotify for my music. Center screen here, I think it's an 8-inch screen. Center is your speed, and we've got some Electrical range on the left, regen. I'll show you guys some of that really cool stuff too. Normal trip distance information, basic Chevy steering wheel. Interior has some interesting material trim. When I first opened it up, I was like, wait, is that styrofoam? It has this very interesting like triangular little texture to it. It feels unique. Plastic and, I mean, a little bit of leather on the steering wheel. This is all cheaper materials here. Again, this is not a super high-end premium vehicle. They focused more on the battery tech and some of the other cool technology. But center screen is good here. We have a sport mode, traction control off, a couple knobs there, so it's not all buried in a touchscreen. You have climate control stuff here. These 3 empty buttons do kind of bother me. Why not just center this here? Empty buttons are always feel like an indicator that you could have optioned something, but you didn't. But I don't even know if you could put anything there. We do have, I think, heated seats. Yep, heated front seats. No cooled, though. And we're in drive right now. We can start driving away. Let's head out of the parking lot. Driving a Bolt is like with other EVs, a very smooth and quiet experience. Now, it makes 200 horsepower and 266 pound-feet of torque, which may not sound like a lot, but because it's an EV, that power delivery feels almost instantaneous. You get really good torque down low, and it'll get up and go. It'll do 60 in just around 6.5 seconds, 6.3 to 6.5 seconds, which doesn't sound amazingly quick, but compared to other mainstream vehicles, it's good enough. And again, that immediate torque shove actually just pushes you back. It's kind of funny, actually. The other really, really cool thing I want to talk about immediately is you can drive the Bolt with 1 foot, 1 pedal. You put it into L, which something like low range mode. Listen, I didn't touch the brakes. That's how much aggressive regenerative braking it has. You don't need to use the actual physical brakes. So it's a 1 pedal driving affair. I have my foot on the gas right now, cruising along at 45. Now, if I take my foot off the brake, it immediately starts slowing down. And I've gotten good enough at timing it where I could just come to a stop at a red light or a stop sign without ever touching the physical brake. Now, it actually initially took a little bit of like recalibrating my brain and when I needed to let off, because I actually came to a stop before and had to tap the gas, or not even gas pedal, tap the accelerator pedal to come forward to actually come to the red light. The other thing you can do is, if you're just in regular drive, the left paddle shifter, that's what I would call them, but on the steering wheel here, if you hold that also does the regenerative braking. I'm not touching the brakes, and look, it's slowing down pretty aggressively. Let off and you can get going again. So you can drive the Bolt with 1 foot, 1 pedal. You don't touch the brake. I drove all the way to work this morning without ever touching the brake pedal, which is kind of interesting. You pretty much just have to have your foot on the accelerator to maintain the speed you're trying to go at. And you can see on the center dash here, we have that range. I've got 214 miles of range remaining, center speed, cruise control, and lane keep assist info's there, my trip information. And on the right side is the demonstration of how much power I'm using and also how aggressively it's regenerative braking. So you go on that regen, just letting it off is pretty aggressive. And if I floor it all the way, whee, uses up all the power, all the kilowatts. When the Bolt first launched, it was actually a pretty big deal. It became an affordable mass market pure electric vehicle that had significant range. Now with the updates of the battery pack, it's 66 kilowatt hours instead of 60, I think, and that 10% increase came without any weight or size penalties. They were able to redo the chemistry inside and get some more electrons squeezed in there, which means the range increased by 21 miles based on the EPA rating, which is actually really good. So I think this thing is just under 260 miles, 259. So compared to the competitors, like, hey, there's a Tesla Model 3 right there, the normal non-extended range Model 3, very competitive with this vehicle. Same thing with the Hyundai, the Kia, some of the other pure electrics in this segment. 259 is pretty good. Now, in terms of charging speed, if you don't have a level 2 or level 3 charger, you are going to have to get one, because charging this would literally take way too long. From 0 to a full charge, it is only able to do 4 miles per hour of charging on a just regular 120 volt. You plug it into the wall, and at that rate, to get yourself fully charged, it would be like 65 hours. 65 hours of charging, which is almost 3 days. You're better off like walking. If you have a level 2 charger, it does get a little bit quicker. Level 3 you can replenish, I believe the numbers are like 90 miles in 30 minutes, a full charge in around 2 hours. I have to look at the numbers again. Yes, 10 hours on a level 2 charger will get you a full charge. On a level 3, it's 90 miles in 30 minutes, 160 miles in 60 minutes, and a full charge in 2 hours. So level 3 makes your life a lot easier. When I was running the numbers, I was like, so 4 miles per hour to fully charge it on just a regular 120 volt. So if it's a 259 mile range, that's 65 hours. And I was like, wait, 65 hours is almost 3 days. That's like 2.7 days. That is not remotely practical. So you definitely need a level 2 or level 3 charger. This thing is equipped with the DC fast charging option. So it's really important because infrastructure is one of the big challenges of having a EV. And here's a little bit of an issue I face. I'm about to drive a 5-hour drive back to see family over the weekend. It's Father's Day this weekend. I want to go see my parents. I'm going to take my truck because I don't want to sit and deal with the charging and figure out the routes and all that type of stuff with this vehicle. Could it make it? Absolutely. On a full charge, I should be able to get home to Michigan, to my parents' house. But once I'm there, they don't have a charging station at home. I don't want to have to go somewhere else and charge and sit around or whatever. And because we don't have one at home, and I've only have this car for a week from Chevy, I can't spend 65 hours charging this thing fully in my parents' garage. So that is a practicality concern. If you live in an apartment building, it's also something. Luckily, my apartment building does have a charge point fast charger in the garage. There's a couple owners of Teslas and such that plug them in, and that would work. In terms of how this thing is to drive, like I already mentioned, smooth and quiet. We do have a sport mode here, which I don't know, wakes things up a little bit. I mean, the steering is numb, but I dare say this thing is actually decently fun. It's different. The torque down low is instantaneous. I remember being shocked when I was at an SCCA autocross event, and I watched a Chevy Bolt, which probably might have had different tires, sticker tires. I don't know what else people change these in terms of modifying them per se, but it beat a couple Focus STs around the autocross course. I was like, wait, what? With a low center of gravity, it definitely helps, but there are little dinky wheels there. But the instant torque is quite fun, actually. The other crazy thing is, back when this thing was new, 2017 Motor Trend Car of the Year, guess what won? This car won 2017 Motor Trend Car of the Year. Motor Trend had cars like Porsche 911, Focus RS, Jaguar XC, Mercedes, like serious cars in there in the competition, and they chose the Bolt. Look at the tire squeal. They chose the Bolt as the car of the year, which I was like, whoa, I was surprised when I read that. Now that I'm driving it, I can see how it was groundbreaking back then. If you looked at something like the BMW i3, this had more than twice the range at half the price. Now, as time has gone on, other vehicles have become more and more competitive. Obviously, the Tesla Model 3 is going to be the answer for a lot of people. Are like, why didn't you get that? Well, the Chevy Bolt is definitely more affordable. It is in a different price range than the Tesla Model 3, because they pretty much immediately pulled that cheaper version and it is more expensive now. Other cool features that GM is putting in a lot of their vehicles, we have the camera for the rear view mirror, which takes a little bit of getting used to because you don't see the headrest or yourself in the reflection anymore. It's just a camera, but if you flick that right there, it immediately goes to just a normal rear view mirror. In summary, I mean, the Bolt has been quite interesting. If I lived in a major city and I had access to charging easily and I just had a short commute, I could see why this would be very, very appealing to have. A lot less moving parts. It's much more simple. There isn't really such thing as abusing a pure electric vehicle, an EV, because you just get up. You don't need to let it warm up and lubrication go around. You could theoretically turn on the EV and just go floor it. It's very, very simple, unlike a gasoline internal combustion engine. So maintenance and service theoretically would be better. Battery pack life is a concern, but most of these things come with much longer warranty periods for the propulsion systems. The tech is nice in the Bolt. Now, it can't quite match some of the autopilot, autonomous, semi-autonomous features you'll find in the Model 3, but like I showed you guys, the Apple Carplay, Android Auto, the wireless charging here, the cameras, all work really, really well. It's comfortable and spacious. At 6'3", I have plenty of headroom. I even sat in the back seats there and I had enough legroom. It's, I think, better than every competitor in its segment in terms of rear legroom. The rear trunk space is a little bit on the small side, and the other really big downside is you have to have, ideally, a level 3 charger. Level 2 you could get by. 10 hours to get a full charge is okay. Overnight, you could probably get very close to that, and that's only when you're really draining the whole battery down. And if you're just topping it up after every day of driving, maybe 30, 40 miles, that's plenty. But if you're really trying to charge it on a regular wall charger, you're not going to be happy, because 65 hours for a full charge, 4 miles every hour, that's not a brilliant charging speed. So level 2, level 3 is absolutely important. I love the one pedal driving, learning how to do that with the aggressive regenerative braking for slowing down. I wonder how long you can make the brake pads and rotors last just by doing that. The Chevy Bolt is absolutely staying very competitive with things like the offerings from Hyundai and Kia. The Tesla Model 3 is also a big competitor, but with the discounts you can get these at, this is a more affordable mass market approach vehicle, and it's a different, I think you get a different perception driving a Bolt versus a Tesla. What are you doing, Subaru? All right, there you go. I just decided to go on the bike path for a little bit. But the tech is there, the range is there. It is definitely competitive. It's a unique appearance on the outside. If you like it, you like it. I don't absolutely love it. I do like the color a lot because it reminds me of the Nardo Gray that I had on my RS7, which is probably as different from a Bolt as you can possibly. Whoa, what is that thing? As different from a Chevy Bolt as possible with a 4-liter twin-turbo V8. But again, nice infotainment screen. You don't get glare from this huge touchscreen at the angle that it's at. The one-pedal driving is really fun, or using the left paddle shifter, I guess you could call it a paddle shifter for slowing down, is interesting. Has plenty of passenger space. It has some cool tech. It is competitive, and that's what it's been like to live with a Chevy Bolt. Very different from what I'm used to. I'm about to hop in a giant Ram 1500 with a 5.7-liter Hemi, which is also very different from the Chevy Bolt. But it's been cool. The novelty of having a pure electric vehicle, I think, is still there, unless you've owned multiple of these. Maybe if you bought a Chevy EV1 and you kept going on to this thing is the spiritual successor. It is the grandchild of it. Anyways, this is my week with the Chevy Bolt. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.